Hello, Culture Matters podcast listeners. I'm excited today. I have a quote for you before I introduce you to our guest. Here it is. If you are going through hell, keep going. Winston Churchill. Our guest today is a dear friend of the Culture Matters podcast, a mentor to those smart enough to hear the truth, no matter how painful, a friend of the Culture Matters podcast, someone that has been showing up and inspiring and teaching on our show now for years. And today, we're going to talk about Chapter 11 of Christine Beckwith, founder of 2020 Vision for Success Coaching. Chapter 11, Guilty as Charged. First of all, why that title?
Yeah. Hi, and thanks for having me back. And hello, everyone. Guilty as charged. So this is the theory in and around the idea that we will domesticize many times humans, this is deep, in such a way with our external consciousness being dictated by law and rule and guideline, and that can fall in line with our parents' rules when we're young, and then societal acceptance and denial and rules that we learned from, being at school. And then it grows into corporate policies we're held to and guidelines and those sorts of things. And so external consciousness is, what does the world expect from me? And when we think we're innocent because we don't get caught when we do things that are bad, we are saying, wow, I got away with that. And sometimes when you see, like, I'll use these words, if you see a serial adulterer, which I have worked with hundreds of those people that just love to cheat on their spouses when they're traveling for work. And what I will tell you is those folks, I believe, live on a surface code, if you will, of caught or not caught. And it's been an interesting study for me to watch. Obviously there's destruction there that begins to happen. The philosophy, to bring you back, is that, and I'll read you this paragraph in the chapter. Guilty as charged, the title of this chapter, implies we are guilty the moment we commit the act. Most of us feel guilty even if we aren't caught doing something wrong. Denial of the code is disrupted immediately by getting caught. Being caught, even by self-discovery, often leads to a self-loathing implosion. A cheater, for instance, will feel incredible shame if caught by a spouse or friend when being deceitful, because at our core, we all recognize wrong acts and how they reflect poor character. We can't deny the code. We can't operate in complete denial of it, because part of our life's journey is listening to our internal wiring, our internal consciousness, not our external consciousness. What others expect of us, what others accept of us, what others know about us on the surface level, and aligning our actions with the code. It is by aligning ourselves with our internal code that we can truly love ourselves. And since the whole book is kind of about my personal journey, exactly as it's titled, to finding honor for myself and happiness and true happiness and ultimate success, I dive into this chapter to make people aware that at some point in my personal journey of development, I discovered that I was both successful at times, happy at times, untruthful in both areas at times. And even though I don't think I was this big malicious person turned good, I think I was always a good person, I had levels of lies I was telling myself and other people. And so the tagline, The Journey to the Truth, is about the ultimate honesty. And so this is a book that's hard for people to read when they're not ready to face that. There's a quiz in earlier that we talked about, where they take a liar test, and it's a comical quiz because we don't want it to be like something that sets people off angrily. But it's funny because you take the test and your score is typically, and then we label you, which is like, it's purposefully done, like we're going to call you liar, liar, pants on fire level, etc.
How can that betrayal, the serial betrayer, I'll add, impact a company's uh, work dynamics,
Yeah.
if at all? The
Yeah.
whole,
Are you asking me what I've seen or what I know
what
and
you've
what
seen,
I,
what you know, what you think, how
yeah.
can that type of behavior
So
impact the culture?
I'm going to use myself as the example. Um, in times in my life, I was single and I was able to have relations with men. This is honesty. And I met my current, 16-year relationship at work. And during the beginning of his and I's relationship, when it was unfounded, if you will, whether or not it would last or it was going somewhere more formidable, there's a period of time where I knew I was doing something. And at the time, I held a high position and he was several layers of management beneath me. I knew I needed to go in and confess this relationship when I knew it was going to be a relationship that was going to continue. And it required a level of honesty and humility and for me, an 8-hour drive from New Hampshire to New Jersey, where I walked in and gave my official testimony to this relationship at the unknown, outcome of whether or not I would still have a position, because I had signed a lot of paperwork saying I wouldn't fraternize with help and all that stuff. I say this because I feel like I handled my situation the way it should have been. And by the way, it was highly speculated that, I was getting used by him and I was warned off of him. And we all, we can all have our perspective and think like, well, no, this has really got something to it. And here we are 16 years later. Maybe I'm here because I wanted that to become true. I don't know. But what I know is that other men that I've worked with, and I felt like if I use this as an example myself, making myself the example instead of other people, this would be a better lesson to share. Because I'm showing you the good side of honesty and integrity. The serial adulterer is risking everything for that addiction. And it is an addiction that I can tell, because they're ultimately unable to be powerful in the workplace, because as soon as anybody knows of their character flaw, and most of the time they're not discreet relationships. In fact, I would tell you that I watched many men do it together, fly their mistresses into places that they were traveling to. I was part of the turn the blinds eye, process, because to live in that environment, you had to be someone that wasn't a rat, obviously. And so I survived that time, which was all of my 32 years watching that type of behavior. And what I saw it cost men was everything. Quite frankly, I saw them get caught sometimes and destroy their families. I saw it cost them millions of dollars in divorces, but those are just the superficial, materialistic things. What it cost them from a character perspective, from a self-love perspective, I watch it weaken men. When you become weak to your lures, if you will, when you become weak of the flesh, you cannot be strong in integrity and character. I'm convincing to people, and I'm very fierce when I'm approached if I believe in what I'm saying. And most of the time it's because they can't take me down internally anymore, because I don't have an internal eyesight of poor reflection. I love myself today. That doesn't mean I'm in love with myself and I think I'm great and I'm egotistical necessarily, even though I have an ego. I think that I'm hard to knock down today because my integrity is so high. If you call me a liar and I'm not a liar, well, guess what? That's not sticking to me. I don't get defensive of that. I don't feel defensive of it. I'm way more controlled today emotionally. I would say I'm more fierce than I've ever been, because the higher my integrity goes, less you're going to penetrate me or take me out in a fight. Mental, ability to be strong is our greatest weapon. And so guilty as charged is like, look, the minute you do something that is character lacking, the minute you lie to yourself, lie to other people, you are guilty as charged. Meaning, if you're doing it, nobody else needs to know. You can get away with it, but you're not getting away with it. And in this chapter, I go further to kind of unfold this theory of the price tag. And so, I hope that it makes everybody reading this book tells me that they get very internal. It goes very deep. It's self-reflective. It causes self-reflection. A lot of people have to set the book down. I've discovered there's 3 types of people reading this book. There's the accidental guy that just is my friend and he wants to read my book and see what I wrote because it's a tell-all. So they're curious, they're nosy, like, almost like, what's going on in there? What'd she say? That's salacious, And in the process of doing it, they may or may not be ready for the message. And then there's the person that's going through depression, addiction. They understand what the book's about. They understand it's to help them save themselves. And it's exactly what they needed. They needed one other person to tell their story of salvation and survival. And it breeds hope. It breeds hope. I mean, if you look at the, testimonials on Amazon, you're going to see a lot of people writing that. Like, this book gave me hope. This book gave me, strength or whatever. And then finally, there's the guy that just does not want this message. The guy that is living fully in his lie, or her in her lie, she can't get through this book because nobody wants to take in the kryptonite that causes you to set down your pipe, set down your lover, set down your thievery. So I don't think I'm going to knock addictive personalities and liars and cheaters. I'm not going to be some savior with this book. I think this book is there for people that want to get saved and people that want to help. Listen, I'm not a pastor. I'm not a priest. I haven't gone to church every Sunday, but I'm deeply of the belief that there is something greater, which I open the book up to, and that when we really spend time looking at our internal wiring, we are fighting to be good. Everybody always says we're fighting against evil. I don't think so. I think our physical bodies lead us to evil. I think our minds can do that. I think our hearts can drive that bus sometimes towards that as well. But I think we're really trying to be good, most of us.